Yes, hi all. So video 2 of James's shoes. So you can see here, they're apart. So yeah, use a hot air gun on a certain setting there, not too hot, really important, not too hot, otherwise you will melt the grey. It's so important to keep it about a third of the temperature on a 2000 watt gun. That's that, right. Okay, so the shoes, let's look at this one here first. The reason the LEDs didn't work on this one, as you can see they're off, literally the wires have gone rotten on the bottom here. Or they're really, really badly soldered. One of the two, I'm not sure, but I literally just touched it and it literally just fell out. So that's the reason they didn't work on this side. You can't just insert it in there because they need to be soldered on. But either way, we're not using them anyway, just information. Bubble, ton of glue on there. So again, I'll clean up the glue, get it best I can. Obviously, it won't be nice and clear then because the glue would have melted onto the plastic, but I'll make it look nice and even. So that's good. These came apart really lovely. Heat them up. Very, very nice quality, really good quality. And you can see about the LEDs, you know, like I mentioned, there's one LED each side with a bit of rubber in the ends here. That gives you the bright bit there, and a bit of an even coverage in the middle. But either way, it's all coming out. Look inside the battery. Again, these are all sealed. No one's touched them. Come now with a 3.7 volt LiPo. Again, none of this is going to be used. I will just take it out and James can have it back. You know, or someone can have it if they need it as a spares, but realistically probably won't. And there is the block there for the LEDs, which obviously does nothing on this particular shoe. So that's that one. This one here, you can see, it's now lit up. So the reason this one here wasn't lit up was purely, again, it had been fully sealed. I literally unpeeled it, and that connector there that holds the LEDs was literally just apart. Squashed it back together again, boom, the lights came on instantly. And then now you press the button, which it didn't do before, it now cycles through the modes. See? Press the button on the side here. I mean, fair play, all that sort of stuff, but we're going for, you know, kind of like professional looking mags here. So it's all going to come out anyway, you know, because that side there's faulty and duff anyway, and potentially a flat battery in both anyway. But yeah, there we go. At least you can sort of see what it should do on there. So yeah, so in a minute I'm going to carefully remove this as best as I can. You can't get all the electronics out all in one go because the wiring is all around the back here. It sort of goes through a few different places. It's sort of stitched in and glued in. You'd have to take apart quite a lot of the shoe to be able to get all the wiring out in one go undamaged. And you know, no one needs it. Realistically, no one needs the wiring that's in these shoes. So I'll just take it out as careful as I can, and then prep the shoe for the new panels, put the new panels in, glue them in. Then I can start to paint the new panels in the middle and at the corners, just to sort of give them that detailed look. I've ordered the glue off the internet, so that should arrive in a couple of days' time, and then they can be glued back together again. And say then we'll work out what we're going to do with the straps once AirMagKing responds on those, because we can't take those apart basically. So the options are either put those back on again, which is fine, or ideally we buy a pair off AirMagKing if he has any in stock, and then we rewire those slightly to work with the new wiring and the new panels that I'm putting in. That would be the optimal look. Then it would look absolutely epic. Way better than the lights on that, you know. Cool. Thanks all for watching. So this is video 2. Cheers. Yeah, quick look at the shoes. So I've just done the grinding parts with this. So yeah, put the panel in, roughly in place, lit it up with a power source in there, turned it on, and then ultimately I can then see where the marks are through here. So I've then gone over carefully with this one here on the rubber, which works really well, and it scrapes off basically the residue on there, so that comes off pretty nicely, so that's good. Retest it, brush it out, make sure there's no dirt and dust in there, sorted. Went round the shape here as well with the tool to sort of neaten it up a little bit on the edges a little bit. This bit here took some time, so there's loads and loads of glue residue over the insides of various parts of this. So unfortunately, once the glue's on it, it melts it. So when you take the glue off, you're left with basically matte areas versus clear shiny areas. So what I then do is I then use this tool here, a little diamond bit, which fits perfectly in the gap there, to basically go backwards and forwards to clean all the crap out for a start with the glue, and then to mat each of the 6 holes, so basically it all looks the same. I then go over this one here to remove the glue residue, which is basically various places all over the shop on these, and basically leaving me with, you know, the best I can do basically with what I've sort of dealt with, you know. So those look good. So what I'll do now is I'll give it another brush out with a toothbrush, get as much of this sort of dust out as I can, double check that it's still good, you know, in the corners and stuff, and if it is, then I'm happy with those, and those are good to be used then. But in there, we're just doing the best we can with what we've got. You can buy other bubbles, but they're obviously about 35 quid for a pair of bubbles effectively. And these bubbles here are actually very, very nice, other than the glue marks. Cool, so we'll go for these then. Nice one. Oh, actually, next up after that, sorry, is I can then put the panel in, glue it in properly, basically into position, then leave it for it to dry. And once it's dry, you can then touch up this middle section here and this square end section just here, using the paints that I like. So I use this one here, the silver paint. That seems to blend in really well, and then a bit of this one here for the marks. So that means when the panel's there, you won't as obviously be able to see that split line in the middle, so it'll look much more subtle. Cool, excellent. Yep, hello all. So yeah, the shoe's looking really, really good. So as you can see, I've got the lights in, and I've painted it down there as well with my own special recipe of paint, and down here in the corner I've just glued the EL panels onto the back of the reworked original bubbles, which I've blurred slightly as well to make them even, because of the glue that the original manufacturer accidentally put on the bubbles in many places to hold the LEDs in place. So I think it looks really good. I've done it as best as I can. The lights are slightly bigger, slightly wider than the bubble, but it looks absolutely spot on in my opinion. Same with that side there, looks absolutely lovely. Again, that's the best position it can be. That is the best place it can go. Along with that bit down there. Wiring loom wise, again, there's nothing's glued in next, because I ran out of glue. But that's it there, like that. And what I'll probably do is I'll probably shorten this piece here from here down to there. I'll probably shorten it to potentially here. You could obviously put it here, but then you don't get as much room with the sock and the wiring. And also you're more likely, if that's down there, to sort of knock the connector, you know, when you put your foot in the shoe. So if it's here, you can obviously tuck it like that, put your foot in the shoe, then tuck this or the smaller version into your sock if you're wearing the shoe. So that's the plan for that. We haven't got the straps yet, so we haven't had any reply back from AirMagKing yet on the straps, but what I've done anyway is no matter what, I've added the wiring in anyway, so if James can't get the straps for the moment, then he can still use his original straps, and obviously hide this. Either you could potentially, you know, tuck it back in there, or just leave it behind the strap, I would, for now. And then when AirMagKing comes up with the straps on his next delivery, assuming he hasn't got any now, then you can just potentially just connect it up. We might have to solder a new connector onto the wire from AirMagKing and then connect onto this, but it's very, very minor. So the main thing is the wire and loom's there, powered up, ready to go. And they look really nice, really, really good. And also that took a long time. So what I'll do is now is I'm waiting for the glue to arrive. When the glue arrives, you know, in a couple of days' time, I can glue this panel here back on and this panel on back on. I can then put a little bit of glue, you know, in here as well to sort of fix the wiring in the relevant position. Point of notice, this point here is that's where the original charging socket was, and the on-off switch was hanging down, which obviously is below the length of the strap. Naturally, I could have used it to have this, for example, out of there, but then you always see an inch of black wire all the time. So I thought, you know what, we'll just make a hole here. I did check, we'll make a hole here for now. Then what we can do is we can potentially get a bit of grey fabric in there, or put like a little badge on there, you know, like a little Nike symbol on there or something. I don't know, I'm sure there's something you can do on that little hole, but it's quite a minor thing, you know. But obviously that's there. You could potentially even stitch it up if you wanted to, but that's just something to bear in mind, that that's how these ones came. You know, on the other shoes, the actual hole is basically much higher up here. So this is a more convenient place in terms of on and off switches there, but the other shoes is actually mounted pretty much in line here, so it's hidden behind the strap. So this is the first time I've ever seen one just like that. But they look amazing. So yeah, I'm really pleased, really, really pleased. Cool. Anyway, so once the glue arrives, then we'll do video 3. Cheers.